It was a Tuesday night, just like any other. Or at least, that's what I thought. The air smelled like rain, and the streetlights flickered outside the diner where I sat, waiting for my takeout order. I glanced at my phone, no messages. Not even a "where are you?" Nothing. Lately, silence had become her favorite language. I didn't rush home. Maybe some part of me knew. Maybe something in my gut was already tightening, already preparing. Instead, I took the long way, rolling down the windows, letting the cold air slap me awake. A weird thought crossed my mind. What if I just kept driving? What if I didn't go home? What if I just let the road take me somewhere, anywhere else? But I didn't. I turned onto our street, my headlights sweeping across the front of the house. Her car was there. The lights in the living room were off. But upstairs? A faint glow. Bedroom. A tightness crept up my spine. I stepped out of the car, balancing the bag of food in one hand. The house was quiet, eerily so. No music. No TV. Just the hum of the fridge in the kitchen. I walked in, my shoes barely making a sound against the floor. And then I heard it. A laugh. Soft. Breathy. Muffled by the walls but unmistakable. My blood went cold. It wasn't a laugh meant for me. Something primal kicked in, something ugly and raw that I didn't even recognize in myself. I moved without thinking, climbing the stairs two at a time, my heartbeat a hammer in my chest. The bedroom door wasn't shut all the way. Just slightly ajar. And when I pushed it open, she didn't even see me. She was too busy with him. She was sprawled across our bed, tangled up with him like I never existed. His hands on her. Her lips against his neck. The way her body moved, so effortlessly, so naturally, like she had done this 1,000 times before. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. The world went silent except for the rush of blood in my ears. Then my voice came out low, steady, too steady. Having fun. Everything stopped. She jerked back like she'd been electrocuted. Her eyes going wide. Her breath hitching in her throat. He scrambled, nearly falling off the bed, yanking the sheets over himself like it would somehow erase the fact that he was here, in my house, in my bed with my wife. Her mouth opened, closed. A flash of something in her eyes. Panic? Guilt? No. Something worse. Annoyance. She exhaled sharply, dragging a hand through her hair. Jesus, Ryan, do you have to be so dramatic? Dramatic. Dramatic? I stared at her, trying to process the sheer absurdity of that response. My fists clenched at my sides, my nails biting into my palms, trying to ground myself, trying to stop the fire in my gut from exploding. The guy, mid-30s, expensive watch, gym rat build, looked between us, clearly unsure if he was about to get his teeth knocked out. He opened his mouth, probably to stammer out some pathetic excuse, but I didn't care about him. He was nothing, a cockroach that crawled into my house. I cared about her. I took a step closer, my voice eerily calm. How long? She scoffed. Actually scoffed, like I was being ridiculous for even asking. Does it matter? Everything inside me twisted. My stomach clenched, my jaw locked. Something inside me cracked into a million jagged pieces. I wanted to scream. I wanted to break something, but I wouldn't give her the satisfaction. I inhaled, slow and controlled. It matters. She rolled her eyes, like this was just another petty argument about dishes in the sink. Then she shrugged. A while, like it was nothing, like I was nothing. I turned my head slightly, eyes flicking to the guy still awkwardly frozen on the edge of my bed. Get the F out. He hesitated. Big mistake. I took another step forward, not yelling, not raging, just looking at him. Something in my face must have told him I wasn't bluffing because he scrambled for his clothes, nearly tripping over himself in his rush to escape. He didn't even bother buttoning his shirt before bolting past me, leaving his shoes behind in his desperation. And then it was just us. The silence between us was suffocating. She sighed, stretching her legs out as if I had just interrupted her night instead of catching her in the most disgusting betrayal imaginable. Can you not make a big deal out of this? My vision blurred. Not with tears, no, I wasn't there yet. Just raw, unfiltered disbelief. A big deal? I exhaled slowly, shaking my head. Who the hell are you? She finally looked at me, really looked at me like she was seeing me for the first time in months. Maybe she was. And then, with a smirk, with absolute, unfathomable cruelty, she said, "Face it, Ryan. You were never enough." Something inside me snapped. Not in a violent way. Not in a loud way. It was quieter than that. A slow, creeping realization that slithered into my bones and settled there, cold and final. I didn't feel anger. Not anymore. I didn't feel sadness either. Not yet. All I felt was clarity. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't ashamed. She wasn't even trying to lie her way out of it. No begging. No fake tears. No pathetic excuses. She just didn't care. And that, more than anything, was what killed me. I let out a breath, steadying myself. My hands were still shaking, but my voice wasn't. "You were never enough." I repeated her words back to her, testing them, letting them sink in. She shrugged, like I had just repeated some obvious fact about the weather. "If you're waiting for me to apologize, don't. I won't lie to make you feel better." She said it like she was being noble. Like I was the idiot for expecting even a shred of remorse. I nodded slowly. "Got it." I turned away, walking out of the bedroom. Her voice followed me. "Where are you going?" I didn't answer. I made my way down the stairs, each step feeling more surreal than the last. This was my house. These were my things. Our photos still hung on the walls. My jacket was still draped over the chair in the hallway. Everything looked normal. But nothing was normal. I grabbed my keys off the counter. The metal felt cold against my palm. My body was running on autopilot, every movement slow, measured, deliberate. She came down the stairs behind me, barefoot. Moving lazily like this was just some minor inconvenience she had to deal with before bed. "Ryan, don't be an idiot. You're not actually leaving." I didn't respond. I walked to the front door. She sighed, exasperated. "Come on. Are you seriously going to throw everything away over this?" I turned the doorknob. Her voice sharpened, irritation bleeding through. "Jesus, grow up. We're adults. This happens. It doesn't have to be a big deal unless you make it one." I turned back, staring at her. My chest was tight. My heart felt like it had been ripped out and stomped on. But I refused to break in front of her. So I did the only thing I could. I smiled. Not a real smile. Something empty, something hollow, something that barely stretched across my face. And then I said, in the calmest voice I'd ever used in my life, "You have no idea what's coming next." Then I walked out and shut the door behind me. The cold night air hit me like a slap, but I barely felt it. My mind was a storm, thoughts crashing into each other so fast I couldn't hold onto any of them. I got in my car and just sat there, gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles ached. I could still hear her voice in my head. "You were never enough. This happens. Don't be an idiot." She thought I'd come crawling back. She thought she had me so wrapped around her finger that I'd accept her after what I just saw. I exhaled through my nose, forcing my heartbeat to slow down. No, not this time. I started the car and drove. I didn't know where I was going at first, just away. Away from the house that didn't feel like mine anymore. Away from her. But as I turned onto the main road, a name popped into my head, and before I could second guess it, I was already dialing the number. It rang twice before a voice picked up. "Ryan, it's late. What's up?" I swallowed hard, gripping the phone like a lifeline. "I need a favor." A pause. Then a sigh. What did she do? Because of course he knew. Because I wasn't the only one who had seen this coming. I clenched my jaw, swallowing the bitterness that rose in my throat. "Can I just come over?" "Doors open," he said, no hesitation. I hung up and pressed the gas pedal a little harder. 15 minutes later, I was pulling into the driveway of the only person who had warned me about her from the beginning. Ethan, my best friend. The one who had seen through her long before I ever did. The one I stopped talking to when she convinced me he was jealous, that he was trying to break us up. I hated myself for believing her. Ethan was already standing in the doorway when I stepped out of the car, arms crossed, expression unreadable. I walked up the steps, stopping in front of him, waiting for the inevitable "I told you so." But it never came. He just looked at me for a long moment, then stepped aside. "Come in." I did. And the moment the door shut behind me, I felt something crack inside my chest. I was safe. And for the first time in years, I realized how badly I had needed to be. Ethan didn't ask me anything at first. He just handed me a beer, sat down on the couch, and waited. He had always been like that, never the type to pry, just letting me talk when I was ready. But this time, I didn't know where to start. How do you even begin to explain something like this? How do you put into words the feeling of walking into your own home and realizing you were just a joke to the person you loved? So I did the only thing I could. I laughed. A short, humorless bark of a laugh that tasted bitter on my tongue. I ran a hand down my face, shaking my head. You're gonna love this one. Ethan just raised an eyebrow, waiting. I leaned back against the couch, staring at the ceiling. She didn't even care, man. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't even surprised I caught her. I let out another breathless chuckle. You know what she said to me? You were never enough. The second the words left my mouth, Ethan's expression darkened. His grip on his beer tightened, and for a moment, I thought he might throw it across the room. Wow. His voice was low, dangerous. That's a new level of evil. I scoffed. Yeah, and the best part? She acted like I was the one being unreasonable. Like I was some whiny little kid making a big deal out of nothing. Ethan was silent for a long moment. Then he took a slow sip of his beer and set the bottle down. So, what's the plan? I blinked. The plan? He nodded. Yeah, because I know you, Ryan, and I know you're not just gonna let this slide. That was the thing, I didn't have a plan. My mind had been in survival mode ever since I walked into that bedroom, and now that I was sitting here, everything was catching up to me at once. The anger, the betrayal, the sheer insanity of how she had treated me like I was the idiot for ever believing in her. But Ethan was right. I wasn't the kind of guy who just rolled over and took it. I took a slow breath, sitting up straighter. She thinks I'm weak. Ethan tilted his head. Yeah? I nodded, feeling something sharp and alive settle in my chest. She thinks I'll just get over it, that I'll come crawling back. Ethan's lips curled into something that wasn't quite a smile. She's in for a hell of a surprise, then. And just like that, the plan started forming. She thought she had all the power. She thought I'd let her walk away from this untouched. She was wrong. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, bored, unimpressed, annoyed that I had caught her. Her voice kept replaying in my head. You were never enough. This happens. Don't be an idiot. The rage burned in my stomach, but beneath it there was something else. Something colder. She thought she had already won. She thought I'd just leave. That I'd walk away, heartbroken and humiliated, and she'd get to keep everything, her comfortable life, the house, the finances, the social circles she loved to control. She didn't realize I was about to flip the entire board over. By the time the sun came up, I had a plan. I called in sick to work. There were bigger things to handle today. Ethan and I sat at his kitchen table, drinking coffee, going over every step. Step 1, get the house. My name was on the deed. Only mine. I had bought that place before we got married, but I never made a big deal about it. She acted like it was ours, like she had as much right to it as I did. That ended today. I called my lawyer. Ryan? What's going on? I got straight to the point. I need to make sure my wife has no claim to my house. And I need to do it fast. There was a pause. Did something happen? I clenched my jaw. Yeah. She cheated on me. In my own damn bed. And she doesn't even care. A longer pause. Then my lawyer sighed. All right, let's get to work. Within an hour, I had everything in motion. A legal notice would be delivered to her today, making it very clear she had no ownership of the house. No rights to stay. Nothing. Step 2, freeze the accounts. She didn't work. Hadn't for years. She always said she didn't have to because my salary was enough for both of us. Well, that free ride ended today. I called the bank. Hi, I'd like to separate my finances from my wife's and remove her access to my accounts. They walked me through it, and within minutes she was locked out of everything. No more shopping sprees. No more fancy brunches with her friends on my dime. By noon it was done. And now for the fun part. Step 3, let her find out. I drove back to the house with Ethan following behind me. The whole drive there, my heartbeat was steady. No second guessing. No hesitation. I was ready. I parked in the driveway and walked up to the front door like I owned the place, because I did. Inside, She was sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone like nothing had happened, like she hadn't detonated our entire marriage with her selfishness. She didn't even look up when I stepped in. "You're back." Calm, indifferent, like I had just gone to the store for milk. I smiled. "Yep." She finally glanced at me, raising an eyebrow. "You done being dramatic?" I laughed. "Oh, sweetheart, I'm just getting started." Then, I tossed the legal documents onto the coffee table. She frowned, picking them up. She started reading. Her eyes narrowed. Then her head snapped up, and for the first time since this nightmare started, I saw it. Panic. "What the hell is this?" I sat down across from her, stretching my legs out, enjoying the exact moment she realized she wasn't untouchable. "That," I said smoothly, "is a legal notice informing you that you have no claim to this house. Which means you need to pack your things and leave." Her mouth opened. Closed. Opened again. "You can't do this." I tilted my head. "I already did." She shot up from the couch, pacing now, her hands flying into her hair. "Ryan, be serious. Where am I supposed to go?" I shrugged. "Not my problem." She whipped around, eyes flashing. "I don't have any money." I took out my phone, opened my banking app, and turned the screen toward her. She stared at it. At the words "access revoked," her face dropped. I stood up, towering over her now, my voice ice cold. "I was never enough for you?" I repeated, letting the words sink in. "Let's see how much you can do without me." She opened her mouth again, probably to scream, probably to beg, but I was already walking toward the stairs. "You have until the end of the day to pack your S and get out." Then I left her standing there, speechless for the first time in her life. She didn't move at first. Just stood there, gripping the papers so tightly her hands shook. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. The reality of it was sinking in now. She wasn't in control anymore. She wasn't calling the shots. And she sure as hell wasn't going to talk her way out of this. I made my way up the stairs, taking my time. I wanted her to sit in that feeling for a while. The helplessness. The shock. The fear of realizing she had pushed too far. I wanted her to feel even a fraction of what I felt when I walked in on her and that guy. She deserved every second of it. I grabbed a duffel bag from the closet and started shoving her clothes inside. No careful folding. No organization. Just tossing things in like trash because that's what she had turned herself into. I was halfway through the closet when I heard her footsteps storming up the stairs. "Ryan, stop." I kept going. She rushed in, snatching a handful of clothes from the bag. "Are you out of your mind? You can't just throw me out." I yanked them back, stuffing them in harder. "I can and I am." Her voice sharpened. "I have nowhere to go." I turned to her, tilting my head. "Oh, really? What about your little boyfriend? I'm sure he'd love to have you." Her face twisted with disgust, but not the kind you'd expect. Not shame. Not regret. No. She looked annoyed. Like I was the one being unreasonable. "God, Ryan, it wasn't that serious." I dropped the bag. "Not that serious?" I repeated, laughing bitterly. "You were in our bed with another man, but sure. It's not that serious." She folded her arms, shifting her weight to one leg. "You're blowing this way out of proportion." Something inside me, something that had already cracked, snapped. I took a slow step forward, voice dangerously calm. "Say that again." Her throat bobbed, but she didn't back down. "It was just a mistake." "A mistake." I shook my head, looking at her like she was a stranger, because that's exactly what she was now. "No, see, a mistake is forgetting to buy milk. A mistake is missing an appointment. What you did, that was a choice. And you made it over and over again." Her jaw tightened, but there was something flickering in her eyes now. Fear. I picked the bag back up and shoved it against her chest. "Get out." "Ryan, no." I cut her off, voice firm. "You don't get to talk your way out of this. You don't get to twist it. You don't get to make me the bad guy." She gritted her teeth, fingers curling around the strap of the bag. "You're really gonna do this?" I nodded once. "I really am." She let out a sharp, bitter laugh. "Fine. You want to be petty? Go ahead. But don't come crying to me when you realize what you lost." I stepped back, crossing my arms. "I already lost you. And turns out that was the best thing that ever happened to me." Her face twisted in rage, but I was done. I walked past her, down the stairs, and opened the front door. Clock's ticking. And for the first time, she was the one with no power. She didn't move at first. Just stood there, clutching the bag like she expected me to suddenly snap out of it and take everything back. But I wasn't backing down. Not this time. Her eyes flicked past me like she was waiting for some miracle, maybe for me to cave, maybe for some excuse to keep her little kingdom intact. But there was nothing left for her here. Ryan. Her voice dropped, softer now, fake as hell. Come on. Let's talk about this. I laughed. I couldn't help it. Now you want to talk? She swallowed, and for the first time her mask cracked. The calm, smug expression she had worn all night was slipping, piece by piece, revealing something raw underneath. She was finally realizing she had lost. She needed me to keep playing the fool. And I wasn't playing anymore. What do you want me to say? She snapped, the fake sweetness gone in an instant. That I messed up? Fine. I messed up. Are you happy now? I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. No, actually. But I am entertained. Her eyes flashed. You're such an asterisk hole. She spat, her voice trembling with frustration. You really think you're winning here? I just smiled. Oh, I know I am. Her lips pressed into a thin line, and for a second, I thought she might actually throw something at me. But then, she did something worse. She dropped the act entirely. Her whole body relaxed, and she tilted her head, looking me up and down with something like pity. You think you're some kind of hero right now, she said slowly, carefully, like you're taking back control. But Ryan, be real. What do you actually have without me? I blinked. Excuse me? She smirked, stepping closer. Oh, come on. You were nothing before me. You had no social life, no confidence, no presence. I made you interesting. I made people notice you. And now you're throwing me away like that won't come back to bite you? I exhaled, shaking my head. Unbelievable. No, what's unbelievable is that you're too stupid to see what you're losing. She let out a sharp laugh, shaking her head. You need me, Ryan. You always have. And that right there, that was the moment I felt it. The last inch of love I had for her shrivel up and die. I had spent years making excuses for her, bending over backward, convincing myself she was just difficult, just misunderstood, that she loved me even if she had a cruel way of showing it. But now I saw her for what she really was, poison, and I was finally done drinking it. You're right about one thing, I said, my voice eerily calm. I was nothing before, but you know what? That's on me, because I spent all these years letting you define me. Letting you convince me that I was only worth something if I had you on my arm. Her smirk faltered. But guess what? I leaned in slightly, dropping my voice. I don't need you. And I never did. Silence. Then her face twisted into something ugly. You're pathetic, she spat. You'll regret this. You're gonna be alone, and when you realize what a huge mistake you made, don't expect me to come running back. I grinned. Oh, don't worry. I won't. Then I stepped back and gestured to the open door. Now get the hell out of my house. She hesitated. One last moment of defiance. One last silent challenge. But in the end, she had nothing left to fight with. So she grabbed her bag, lifted her chin, and walked past me out into the cold, dark night. And just like that, she was gone. I watched her walk down the driveway, expecting, hoping she'd turn around one last time, maybe throw some final insult, try to claw back some control. But she didn't. She just kept walking. No car waiting for her. No backup plan. For the first time in years, she was alone. And I let her be. I didn't slam the door. I didn't cheer or gloat. I just stood there for a moment, staring at the empty street, letting it all sink in. The weight of everything that had just happened pressed down on me. But instead of crushing me, it lifted me. For the first time in a long time, I could breathe. I shut the door, locked it, and just like that, she was out of my life. Ethan showed up an hour later with a six-pack and a pizza. He didn't say anything at first, just handed me a beer, sat on the couch, and turned on some mindless action movie. She gone? He finally asked, not looking away from the screen. Yeah. He nodded, taking a sip of his beer. Good. And that was it. No, I told you so. No lectures. Just quiet understanding. Halfway through the movie, my phone buzzed. I almost didn't check it, assuming it was her. But when I glanced at the screen, my chest tightened. Unknown number. Ryan. It's me. Call me when you can. Not her. Him. The guy I caught her with. I stared at the message, my fingers curling around the phone. Ethan noticed. Something wrong? I showed him the screen. He read the message, eyebrows raising slightly. Huh. That's new. Why the hell would he be texting me? Ethan leaned back, rubbing his jaw. Maybe he realized he got played too. I frowned. What do you mean? He gave me a look. Come on, man. You really think you were the only one? She didn't just wake up one day and decide to cheat. People like her? They collect options. I exhaled sharply, dragging a hand down my face. I wanted to argue, to say that even she wouldn't be that cruel, but the words died in my throat. Because I knew Ethan was probably right. The guy wasn't texting me to apologize. He was texting me because he had realized something. And whatever it wasn't good. You gonna call him? Ethan asked. I stared at the message again, my heart pounding. Then, without a word, I pressed call. The phone barely rang twice before he picked up. Ryan? His voice was tense, uneasy. I clenched my jaw. Yeah. Talk. He exhaled, and for a second I thought he might back out. But then, in a quiet, almost embarrassed voice, he said, she lied to me too. I didn't say anything. Just waited. I didn't know she was married, he continued quickly. She told me she was single. Said she'd just gotten out of a long, messy relationship with some guy who was obsessed with her. She made you sound like some crazy ex who couldn't let go. I shut my eyes, gripping the bridge of my nose. Of course she did. Of course, she had already rewritten the story, painting herself as the victim. I swear, if I had known, I don't care, I cut him off. Why are you calling me? He hesitated. Because I thought you should know. I wasn't the only one. My stomach turned. What? She was seeing at least 2 other guys. That I know of. I stood up from the couch, pacing. Ethan looked over, eyes narrowing, but I barely noticed. You sure? I asked, my voice tight. 100%. And get this, she told them the same thing about me. That I was just some ex who couldn't take a hint. I let out a slow, controlled breath. She was so much worse than I thought. Why are you telling me this? I asked. He sighed. Because I got played too. And I figure you deserve to know the whole truth. I don't expect you to forgive me, I wouldn't either, but I didn't want you thinking I was in on it. I didn't answer. I just let the words sit there, heavy and awful. She had been playing all of us. I had spent years thinking I wasn't enough. That I had been the problem. But the truth was, no one would have ever been enough for her because she didn't want enough. She wanted everything. And she had just lost it all. Thanks for letting me know, I finally said. But don't call me again. I hung up before he could reply. Ethan was watching me carefully. That bad? I let out a humorless laugh. Worse. I sat back down, staring at the wall, letting everything settle. The anger. The betrayal. The years of self-doubt that were never mine to carry. And then, after a long silence, something else settled in my chest. Relief. Because for the first time in years, I was finally free.